Hi, this is Jerry Williams, and you're back at Talk Labor, and Talk Labor is the place that you want to be. When you have problems and things that bother you, that you fear, you should talk about it. Talk about it, don't be afraid to talk about it. Sometimes people will bury their heads in the sand and pretend like it don't happen. It happens. It really happens, and it's very important that you talk about it, because if you don't, it can be detrimental to you, your family, and all the people around you. So you talk about it, and if you don't think that you have the capability to talk about it, or you are afraid to talk about it, hey, come down here. We'll talk about it for you, all right? We want to get right into the show today. I want to start with, let me start by saying this. I believe in humanity again. And you know why? My wife and I was at a restaurant, and as a matter of fact, Pepe's, I don't want to give any publicity because they're not paying us. They pay us to do that. But we was at a restaurant. This was one of her favorite restaurants. I don't like it. I was fussing because I didn't want to go. But you know how it is. You're going anyway. So I went, and all the while I'm sitting there, I'm just, I'm upset. Oh, man, I'm really angry. I'm eating this stuff. And I saw a guy sitting over there, and I started talking about him, another black guy. I'm just talking about the guy, So we finished we all eating our meal. This guy finished his meal and walked over to our table and slapped his hand on the table and said, look, I just paid for you all's dinner, so you don't have to pay for it. And told a couple behind us, I paid for your dinner, so you don't have to pay for it. And I sit there with my mouth open, pay for our dinner. I think this guy trying to trick us, baby. So we called, the guy, he left, we thanked him, thank you, When he left, we called a waitress over. So, the guy said he paid for our dinner. She said, oh, he did. He said, have whatever you want. I'm like, man, how beautiful that was. I'm serious, that really made me happy. And what I said was, I'm gonna do this. I'm going to go and find me somebody and buy their dinner. I'm not kidding you. I'm still looking. But I'm serious. I'm going to do this when I go in a restaurant. I'm going to pay for somebody's dinner or lunch. Somebody you think you might want to do that for. Because he didn't have to do that. It was such a beautiful thing. Man, I'm telling you. But now, speaking of restaurants, and we got a lot of things to talk about. I got a great guest on tonight. We're going to talk about some of the things that really, really are important to you. Like, of course, this is a labor show. We talk about community things also. We want to talk about labor. We're going to talk about the state, the community, the city. We're going to talk about the Chicago Transit Authority. You got to hear what's happening to the workers at the Transit Authority. You got to hear this. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, I want to go back to the restaurants. Now, speaking of restaurants, I went to a restaurant called Flavor's Restaurant in Richton Park. This was a very classy restaurant. Now, I live out that way. And it's like a high-end restaurant in the neighborhood. Just unbelievable, with great food. I didn't know that. I've been out there a long time, and I think that restaurant's been at least 2 years. I never stopped in there. That restaurant has a great atmosphere. It has a great ambience, and you wouldn't believe the magnificence of that restaurant. I mean, you won't find a better restaurant in that area. And I'm saying, why don't I know about this? Why don't other people? Now they have pretty good, crowd coming there. But I'm like, why don't I know about this and other people know about this? So, it's on Sauk Trail, 5091 Sauk Trail in Richton Park. Man, I'm telling you what a great restaurant that is. And you need to go and check it out. You really need to go and check it out. It's unbelievable. It's owned by African American. And I think she's a marvelous person. I got to meet her. Marvelous person. You got to see it for yourself. You got to go in, sit down and talk, sit down and have dinner, see the ambience, taste the food. It is as good as any high-end restaurant in Chicago, and I probably frequented all of them, okay? But I'm gonna go, what I wanna do, I wanna go right to the next subject, but before I do that, I wanna introduce my guest. And my guest is Brother Ronald Roach, former union person, worked at the Chicago Transit Authority for a number of years. Ronnie, how you doing, man?
Hey, Jerry. Fine.
Good to see you.
Good to be back.
Yeah. How's everything going? I know you do
good.
a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
You get around a lot.
Yeah, I have.
How was your Christmas? How was?
Real nice, real nice, yeah.
Yeah. So you did have a Christmas. You know, you got Donald Trump waiting to go in office.
Yeah.
Right? You had a Christmas, right?
Real nice.
You enjoyed it? Mm-hmm. Might be your last one.
Might be.
But no, we don't. You know what? We don't fear this guy here.
No.
We don't fear this guy. He's a nut. You know, he's a puppet. He's ran by people. He do what he's told.
That's it.
These guys that pushed him into office have been trying to get control for a long time. And they finally got them a front man. You know, so watch everything that they do. Little things, if you read, and that's what I ask you, I really ask you guys to do, read. Hitler and that group did the same thing back then.
1939.
Yes, they started doing little things, like they'll try a little bit. And if you don't do anything, then they'll try a little more. And then they'll try a little more until they got to a point that they thought they were God. You know, so we're gonna put a stop to that. We're gonna put a stop to that before it even begins. But we're gonna talk about, I wanna talk about the pensioners at the Chicago Transit Authority, and I also want to talk about the active members at the Chicago Transit Authority. And Ronnie, I'm gonna ask you this question.
Okay.
Did you know that now, when they did the contract back here some years ago, they were taking money from the active people by saying they're increasing their health care premiums, right?
You're right.
So they didn't really get a chance to enjoy any real pay increase.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Here's one thing that you want to be aware of, and I want you all to understand this. We're going to discuss this, Ronnie and I, and you need to discuss it among yourselves, and you need to get out there and put a stop to it. You get out there and back your people that's out there fighting for you and try to help put a stop to this. Now, the active members are going to be forced to give up 2% of their pay starting January 1st.
Yes, they are.
Starting January 1st. 2% of their pay. They haven't got the contract. It's not in the contract. This is automatic from that last bill and all that garbage them people did in 2008. They've been fighting it, but here they come. We tried to tell them. It's not just the fact that they started the healthcare trust thing. They're going to jack you from now on. You won't be making, you're probably making $5 an hour when they finish, running. But you remember that, right?
Yes, I do.
You want to give us a little bit on that?
I also recall that there was no cap on it, and you made that, and you brought that out at a meeting that we were having. And they told you there's no cap on it. They can continue to increase it whenever they deem it necessary.
That's exactly right. Here's the formula that they use, so you'll know. In the bill, it says, anytime the pension falls down to 60%, now 60% is healthy, but anytime it falls down to 60%, they can increase your contributions. Mm-hmm. They don't even have to ask you. They can just increase your contributions. Now, here's what CTA did. They said, oh, is that 60%? Let's get them 2%. We're going to take it, okay. They're going to take 2%. It wouldn't be at 2% if CTA were making their contribution.
That's true.
Let me tell you why. CTA, 6% of the contributions that CTA is supposed to make, they're taking that 6% to pay off that bill, the building.
They take that to pay off the bond. The bond,
the floating bond.
Yeah.
They'll take that to pay off that floating bond. Now the deal was CTA was supposed to pay off the floating bond, not you, active people. CTA was supposed to pay off that floating bond. But they're taking the money that's supposed to go into the pension for you. CTA pays into the pension. Let me tell you what they pay. They pay 14.25%. CTA is supposed to be paying 20.25%. But they're taking 6% of the money that they're supposed to be putting in the plan and paying off the bond. That's not the way it was supposed to be.
No, you're right.
In other words, they're making you pay the bond.
That's right.
Damn it, they're making you pay the bond. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg. They're going to kill you as time go on. CTA is saying to you all, and I saw a little bit of your contract, they're saying they're offering you a 2% raise, but they're taking 2% in January, whether you get a raise or not.
Right.
And they're going to take some more. This is what I was trying to tell everybody. I tried to tell your people back then, don't do this. But they did it. All this comes from that bill that they got passed and the way, what happened back in 2008. All of this comes from that. This is what we were trying to tell you back then.
Don't do it.
I was telling people running that it's not just they're going to make you pay in the healthcare trust, and there are people saying, oh, well, we got to pay in the healthcare trust. I was trying to say, y'all, do you understand? You're going to pay the healthcare trust, and they're going to increase it. Pensioners, they're going to come after you, too. I was trying to tell people that, Roddy.
Yeah, you did. I was there.
You were there.
I was right there.
So, you know, and now what do you do? What do? You fight it. You don't lay over and pretend like it's not happening. You fight it. Okay? And one of the ways that we're going to fight it, I got some ideas for active people. I'm going to try to talk to the president of the local, and I would like to talk to some of your top officers too about ways of fighting what they are doing. Let's just face it. They don't like it when you tell the truth. But the truth is, you're the only one that they are screwing like that. Okay? You're the only one that are a big minority union.
That's right.
Now you add 2 and 2. And don't ever tell me, Jerry, you're playing the race card. I always tell people, I got 52 and I'll play them all if it's true. And it's true. This is what's going on. You got the same thing happening with other entities. This is not going on. They raise taxes to make sure that their pensions are okay. They do this and they do that. And the teacher stood up and told them, I will cut your throat if you try to do ours. And they had to back off. So here's what's happening with these unions. Now they figure, well, they're weak anyway, and we can just take advantage of them. But your president, I know that they're out there fighting, but that's a hell of a hill to climb that these people put there for you because they opened up the gates and let them in. Now he's got to go and fight along with the people that's fighting with him.
That's right.
And try to close these gates, but it ain't going to be that easy. It's not going to be that easy. Roach, give me a little bit on that.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You just said that when you called it like it was, they said, Jerry, you playing the race card.
Yeah.
That's a fact, right?
It sure did.
Okay. You ever hear the expression, a rose is a rose is a rose, and by any other name, it's still a rose? A thief is a thief is a thief, and by any other name, he's still a thief.
Right.
If you're talking about the race card, let's look at facts. State workers, police department, fire department. All of those 3 entities, 80% Caucasian. CTA, 80% African American, Hispanics. Well, okay. So we've all had the same identity. We all come up under the same law. Enacted in 1945, we all had to come up under the same thing. We all equal. Well, why is it that when they ruled in favor of them and ruled against us? But they say you playing the race card.
Right. Why they do it? is because they know they can.
Okay.
They know they can do it, and you're not going to do anything about it. At some point, you got to make a stand. At some point, you guys over there at ATU have got to stop fighting each other.
That's right.
And fight the enemy that's trying to take the food out of your baby and your family's mouth. That's what you got to do. You don't let them step on you like that. This is nuts. This is nuts. It don't make any sense. And then some of them do it and laugh about it.
All the way to the Supreme Court.
I saw this little guy at the pension board meeting stand up and say, you know, I be fighting for pensioners because I'm a pensioner.
Right.
And also still give a damn about the active members.
Right.
Because, you know, I grew up there. But this guy, Ronnie, you was there.
Yes, I was.
He said, well, you pensioners might as well get used to it because you're going to be hit from now on. This is a bastard who's supposed to be protecting our brand.
They can stand it. They used to it by now.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
You little, and I'll tell you who it is, I don't bite my tongue. This guy's supposed to be a union guy. He's a trade union guy. He has no business sitting there. He don't have anybody on that property that he represents.
Nobody.
So he has no skin in the game. He don't give a damn. Now, according to the law, he should not be sitting there. And that's what we're going to talk about, okay? Because on January 14th at 9:30, we're going to meet with pensioners. It was originally scheduled for the 7th, but it's been pushed back to the 19th because I think they're having a double board meeting with the ATUs. But we're going to meet with the retirees. We are going to make them enforce the law. And the law says that there should be a pensioner sitting there representing pensioners, not this trade union guy who votes with management 80–90% of the time on every critical issue. He's supposed to be a union guy. His name is Chris Cashmere. I don't have no problem calling your name. Chris Cashmere. And you can bring that to me anytime you want because I will pull up the minutes and show you how you voted. Every time there's a critical issue that's going to affect retirees and active members, he votes with management. He's supposed to be a union guy.
That's right. That's against the law.
You know? So what are you doing sitting there? You shouldn't even be sitting there because you don't represent anybody. And you're going to have to leave. You're going to have to leave. We're going to get the law enforced. If you think I'm lying, just watch. Just watch. And I don't just say things to be saying it. But we're going to be meeting on that, and we're going to be talking about that on the 14th of January. And it's going to be at 9:30, 1613 South Michigan. And you should be getting letters out, retirees. You should be getting information. You should be getting information. You will be receiving information giving you the updates on that, okay? But, you know, because of the things that's going on at that agency over there, you don't understand, if you don't stop it now, if you don't stop this bleeding now, you won't have an agency anymore everything they've tried to do so much. They've tried to privatize. They will privatize if you don't stand.
That's right.
They're doing little things now like, well, we want to bring in second offenders and give them jobs. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But you know what? Pay them the same thing you pay the other people to clean. What they want to do is bring in slave labor, pay them $4, $5, $8 an hour with no benefits and nothing like that. That's what they do. And say, well, you know, you should give them a break and give them a chance. And if you don't give them a break, shame on you, union. Shame on you, CTA, for trying to bring them in and not pay them like you're supposed to pay them. If you're going to bring them in, pay them like you pay everybody else. If you really care about these people, if you're not really trying to get slick again, you know, do what you're supposed to do. There's a big fight right now, right? They're having contract negotiations. Right. And I had told people, this, you know, it's going to be a long, drawn-out thing. But the way that this company is disrespecting these locals for the last 15 years at least, something's got to be done. Something got to be done. You have, of course, you have binding arbitration in the contract,
Right.
which means that when your contract is up, it continues until you negotiate a new one or you
Right.
go through an arbitrator.
Right.
But if that company is violating some things in that contract, then you have to sit down and have second thoughts about what you want to do.
Right.
Okay? You gotta have second thoughts about what you want to do. Now, and yeah, you can call me. You all know me. Every one of you guys looking at me because I know you're looking at this show. And if you want to say something to Jerry, you probably got my number. If you don't, you can get it. Or you can call the show down here. I'd be happy to talk to you over on the show live. I saw where one of the top manager down at CTA was on WVON, really kind of blasting the unions because the union was in objection to them bringing in additional time for second chance offenders. There's nobody in the world that want to give second chance offenders a second chance more than I do. Right. But we don't want to use them as slave labor,
Right.
you know, slave labor. One of the things we talked about, and we're going to talk about that next week in depth, and that is the decline in unionicity.
Right.
You know, among non-union workers, you know, in union city,
Right.
unions decline, non-union workers, like $133 billion a year.
You lose.
You're losing now because unions are being chiseled away at. That's you non-union people. You're so damn foolish. You think that people really care about you, and you run out there with, no, I don't need a union, and we don't. Do y'all understand what a union is? Do you? We put a book out. I put a book out, Ungrateful, The Rise and Fall of Labor Unions.
Yes, you did.
I think it ought to be mandatory that every person that works pick up that book.
I think so.
Gee, you got to understand what's happening to you. And if you lay over and don't do anything, shame on you because your family suffers too. Your family suffers too. Now, you know, I'm venting, and I'll be venting until we straighten this garbage out. But we're going to talk about that in depth next week. Also, we're going to have on our show some very important people that are running for office that's going to be influential in the state of Illinois. And starting next week. So we want you to really, really set your schedule so that you can watch this show at 6:30 next week. We're back. We're going full scale now, and we're going to want you to start watching this show. You know, again, because it's going to be very important, very important. Well, Ronnie, I want to talk about one more thing and before we get out of here. Now, I told you before, I never like to get out here without talking about our Infinite Scholar Program.
Right.
Our Infinite Scholar Program. It is such that, you know, I think I talked about it last week. I don't know if I did or not. But anyway, we got a call in that they needed colleges that we deal with, they have money that they have to spend before the end of the year as far as scholarships are concerned. And they call and ask us for, I think, 45 students. Can we get 45 students that got scholarships? Hey man, we sent like 50-something. Right. They were really happy about that. We sent 50-something. It was wonderful, wasn't it? Yeah, it was wonderful. That we sent that down, and they accepted all of them except 2 was accepted. Mm-hmm. And those 2, there's a possibility that they may get accepted, you know. And so it's like we do our scholarship fair in September, but sometimes in between that time, we might run into a situation where we can get kids, you know, scholarships and stuff like that. So Here's a wonderful thing. If you look at the television we had in St. Louis, and you all can look that up. I think the name of the, let me see, the name of the, you can actually Google this. The name of the TV station was KMOV TV in St. Louis. And they broadcast it. Just go in there and, look up if it's a scholar student gets scholarship. And you'll see 2 students, each one got $200,000 apiece to further their education.
Okay.
$200,000 each to further their education. This is the kind of stuff that we do because, folks, education is the key. The reason we're looking at a clown, we're looking at Bozo in there as the president, is because people were not educated. This man said it. He said, I love my poorly educated. They're going to put me in office. I could stand up in the middle of Times Square, I think it was Times Square, and shoot somebody, and they still would vote.
He said, I wouldn't lose a vote.
Wouldn't lose a vote.
None of y'all would not vote for me.
Any educated person would not vote for a fool that even says that. Now this man is, you see the news every day, but they're going to try to normalize him and normalize his actions, make it like it's normal. When you look up, it'll be just like it was in Germany. Oh, they're doing it to them, they're not doing it to me. They're doing it to them, they're not doing it to me. You look up, oh, they're doing it to me. Too late, too late, too late. Ronnie, you are very instrumental in working with our group here in Chicago on the Infinite Scholar.
Day one.
And you solicited 2 young ladies. Well, actually, you sent the whole school over to our affair.
Right.
And you had a couple of young ladies that got a lot of money.
Yeah.
A couple of, what, about 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, they got they got a free ride to Tuskegee.
123,000.
123,000, 126,000 each.
Mm-hmm.
And just last year, a young lady, I know her daughter got 80,000.
Mm-hmm. A scholarship offer?
80,000. Yeah.
And what we're telling you, you can always go and Google up infinitescholars.org. Go into the website and you can see all the things that we're talking about. Not just here in Chicago, but all around the country.
All around the country.
All around the country. And now I'm very proud to say, and I think I said it before, I am the co-chairman now of Infinite Scholar all around the country. My first promoted job was the director of affairs here in Chicago. And I was fortunate this year to be elevated to co-chairman of the whole International Infinite Scholar. And why am I saying that? Because, thank you. Why am I saying that? Because I am very, very proud of what we do. I think we had somewhere around $15 million this year. We had, of course, we always have, and I mentioned it to everyone, the Chicago Teachers Union works with and support us. We love them. We love them. Carol Lewis is like my little baby sister. And this year we had, and the Teachers Union has been working with us since the beginning. This year we brought on the Chicago Public Schools. They were tremendous. Yep, they worked together. They were tremendous. And we brought on now the Chicago Police Department. We got, they've signed on to it, and we're working with them now. And we got a program that I think is just wonderful, wonderful, working with the kids. The police would do interactions with the kids. You know, it's a long story. If I'm going to try to get it out to you, it's the Infinite Scholars Promise program. I don't have enough time to give you the whole details on that tonight, but I'm going to give it to you as we go along, because your kids could get involved. We are piloting 2 elementary schools, and we intend to spread this thing all over the city of Chicago. We want to make this this place, we want to make Infinite Scholar. We want to do a headquarters right here in Chicago.
Right.
And encourage other cities to do the same thing because it's just that big. It's just that big. These kids, you need to see the faces of these young kids when they get those scholarships. And you'll know why we do what we do, right? It's a tremendous, I think.
And no one is excluded. You know, everybody that needs help can come. Because I was asked the question, does it mean everybody, all kids, anybody that needs help?
Right.
You know, and so I like to add my pastor. That's one bullet. That's one thing that never comes out of the bulletin in my church.
Yeah.
He tell them, do not take it out. You know, you have something in this, we can take it out.
Right.
Infinite Scholar, he never takes it out year round.
That's something that happens a lot. Churches bring loads of kids in, and that is beautiful.
And several of the kids have went on and registered and got scholarships.
Right.
And he talks us about it constantly, you know.
We're working with the University of Illinois Chicago this year.
Right.
And we're seeing if we can't work out, this very cooperative. They are very cooperative. And they want to work with us this year, and we're going to see what we can do with that.
I think it's going to be bigger than ever this year.
Yeah, because we had so many kids last time, we couldn't turn around. It was packed at Dunbar High School. It was beautiful though, but it was just packed. We couldn't move.
When we got there that morning, before they even opened up, they was lined up all the way from the door, all the way back to the other end of the school.
Right. So that's what we want to do, y'all. In closing, we're going to do this. We're going to tell you, I say this all the time, Ronnie. I try to take up for these young men and women that are having a hard time here in Chicago, but I can't take up for you when you're murdering your own people. I don't give a damn what the situation. You don't pull a gun and shoot your own little brothers and sisters. Mom and dad, you can't tell me you don't know what your kids are doing.
That's right.
See, because I was a dad. And my wife was a mom. We knew where our kids were. I had to go to work, and she did too. But we knew where our kids were. So now, you can stop this. You can stop this. We don't have to wait on these kids to stop it. You can stop it. But also, Mayor, and all your people, it takes more than adding police and putting a body camera on and then go out and playing basketball with these kids. You got to create jobs. You got to invest in the schools so they can get the learning that they need to do. I see where they're try to eliminate music programs and arts programs. They need that. Music programs, if you look at the music, kids that take music, 92% of them graduate with great GPAs and stuff like that. It's a proven fact. So we're not going to let this happen to us. We're not going to allow people to not allow our kids to get education. So we're going to get that. We're going to fight that, and we're going to continue to fight it until we win. I haven't had a fight yet. I had one fight that I didn't win. That's because I ran. It was pretty fast.
Well, you can't count that one.
Can't count that one. That wasn't no fight. He was a big old dude, man.
Yeah.
But I haven't had a fight that I haven't won. And we're going to win this. We're going to win this, and seriously. I want you all to stay on top of it. You guys at CTA, get together. Get together. Don't let these people do this to you. There's a lot to be learned from some of the people that's been there before, okay? Okay, well, what we're gonna do, we're gonna get ready to leave here, and we're gonna come back next week. I told you next week we're gonna have some people in, we're gonna have some guests in I think you're gonna be very interested in, people that are running for office. And the reason why I have a lot of elected officials and politicians on here, because they make the difference. This is a democracy. This is the best democracy in the world to me. I studied my history. I don't know about nobody else. I studied mine. It's one of the best democracies in the world, so we want to keep it that way. And the way you keep it that way is you keep your elected officials in line, okay? And I'm going to interview a young man that wrote a song called New Politician. Oh, man, wait till you hear this. Wait till you hear this, okay? All right, until next week, We're going to ask you to do this, do this. If you see it, talk about it. If it's good, talk about it. If it's bad, talk about it.
That's right.
If it's indifferent, talk about it.
But talk about it.
But talk about it, okay? We're going to see you again next week at Talk Labor right here at StarPlanetTV.com. StarPlanetTV.com. Okay? All right. Thank you.